Good evening. Hope that your week was beautiful and full of beautiful things. This live is a continuation of the Life with Ghalia Luxury Edition. And in this episode, we're going to be focusing on the differences between high end and low end brands and their different practices. So, this evening I'm going to be meeting up with Isabella, who works in fashion buying. And through her experience in luxury and high end brands, she's going to be able to give us some insights on that topic. Isabella is also a PhD candidate and she's working on a fashion related topic related to the heritage of fashion brands. I'm going to connect with Isabella and hopefully we'll be able to dig in and dive in information that is going to be useful to you and that is going to be really drawing that point of comparison between high end and low end. I know that it's a very vast topic. However, we're going to be able to highlight those differences as much as we can. Hi, Isabella.
Hi, Alia. Hi, everyone.
Thank you for joining in this evening. I was doing a little introduction about you. However, I directly give you the hand to start this conversation by introducing us to you, to your experience, and to your points of interest before we dive into this live.
Okay, so I hope you're hearing me. I'm not very good at technology. So,
There's always an Instagram debut, so don't worry,
okay,
Isabella.
thank you. I'm Isabella. As you know, I've been working in fashion for almost 5 years now, which is not, a huge experience in terms of time, but I've done many different things. So I've worked with wholesale from for prestige brands, for premium brands. I worked in wholesale with a luxury brand. I had a small experience online doing flash sales. And for the past 2 years, I've been working for a department store in the menswear buying department. And it's quite interesting because I had previous to that, I had a bit of experience on the commercial side. So now I'm on the buying side. So it's quite interesting because I managed to see both sides of distribution and this B2B2C thing. And at the same time, I've been doing a PhD at the Sorbonne. It's been 3 years now, I think. I finished my third year. And I'm doing my research on heritage brands, luxury heritage brands, especially on fashion. So basically how those luxury fashion brands, they build a heritage based on the past. And what they're doing with that has been used mostly on communications and the branding strategies.
Right.
So I'm really focused on branding and what's the place of history of a brand's history on its branding.
Perfect. I mean, it's really interesting that we always look up to these types of brands because luxury has always been a fascinating topic that draws attention of a lot of people, might as well customers who can afford it or who cannot afford it. We're trying to, in this edition, highlight some points of difference between the brand status and what makes a brand a high end or a low end. I mean, why do we always need to categorize brands and what makes a brand a luxurious brand? This is always the question that interests us, and we would like to take your point of view since, as you said, you have this now wide scope or experience between the commercial aspect that is really visible to customers and the buying aspect, which relates to strategic decisions of brand that will be hopefully catering for these types of customers. So let's start from there. So from your experience and blended with your academic research, what makes a brand a high-end or luxury brand?
I think it's a very good question, because luxury, it's very interesting, because we know luxury when we see it, but it's so hard to define, you know. And it's very funny, because to do this live, I was having a look at some texts I had seen, and every time a different author is talking about a luxury brand, they pinpoint different things,
Aspects,
different aspects of a brand,
right?
because it's not that it's widespread, but it's so hard to define. We know exactly, we know luxury when we see it, but when you try to define it, what is it? And it's quite interesting, because I saw some points. It's from a text from 2006, and I was thinking, I was trying to, as I was reading it, I tried to see through also my experience as someone who's always loved fashion, always loved luxury. And I was asking myself, why why have I always loved these brands? Why? Because since I was 9, 10, I wanted to buy a Louis Vuitton bag. Why they had such a grasp on me? Because I'm also a consumer, even though I'm not buying 10 different luxury bags a month, because unfortunately I can't afford it. I'm consuming the storytelling, I'm consuming the narrative, I'm consuming the images those brands are creating. So it's very interesting, because I think we can always all agree the fact that luxury products, they're really high quality and they're really expensive. But at the same time, um, we just this quality, just the fact that it's made in Italy, just the fact that it's got this heritage, this craftsmanship, doesn't justify why people are willing to wait months at a time and to get, for instance, a Birkin bag, why they're willing to pay up to 100,000 euros for a watch, for a bag. You know, if I think that if we try to pinpoint it in a rational way, it doesn't justify. And I think that we get into the heart of luxury, which is it's a symbol, it's
Yeah.
a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and we all buy this dream, and we will want to be, if we're sensitive to it, we want to be part of this dream. And I think that's what differentiates a luxury brand from a low-end brand or any other brand, is because it's symbolic.
Yes.
It's for
So Isabella, if we can just put it in these words, maybe to facilitate, sometimes in luxury we're buying what we see, but we're also buying what we don't see, right?
yes,
And you've highlighted this important aspect of the heritage, which has to do with history. We're going to go back to that in a few, and then to the fact that these types of brands build over time a kind of connection with customers, and they make us build a type of connection that makes us want to consume these brands and make us want to pay our money to these types of brands. But before we go into that in depth into that idea, if already we're talking about the importance of craftsmanship with regards to luxury brands, if today a brand proposes a product that has the exact same quality of any other type of luxury brand that we might know, might say like Gucci, a Prada, or a Chanel, and he proposes it on the market and he says that this is the exact same quality, I'm going to sell it for 3,000 euros, and on the other hand there is a Chanel bag for 3,000 euros. I mean, customers will go and buy their bag from which one? From the newly established brand or from the Chanel? And why?
it's a quite interesting question, because that depends on the customer. So if the person is someone who's open to buying luxury, they're gonna go for Chanel because
Yeah.
they're getting more for the money. The return on the investment is a bit higher.
Hmm.
Because a brand, it doesn't, we don't really know this brand, but even if it's a very good product, it doesn't have the same aura as Chanel has, as Louis Vuitton has, as Dior has, because these brands have been crafting on the aura ever since they were built.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest difference, is that if the person's willing to pay 3,000 euros for a bag, they're gonna they might tend to go for the bag that brings the extra thing that the luxury brand has, which is the aura. Because when you're buying a luxury bag, you're not only buying just a product that you're gonna use every day to carry your documents, carry your phone. You're also buying part of a brand's history, a part of the spokespeople of the brand. You're buying the values of the brand, and you're identifying yourself with that.
Hmm.
So when you buy luxury, you're also sending a message to the world about yourself, who you are, um, which values do you associate yourself with, your social status maybe, because we all know that Chanel, Vuitton, Dior, those are expensive brands. But if it's a brand that's not well known, people are not going to know that you paid 1,000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 euros for your bag.
Right.
And it's very interesting because it's an important thing for people who buy luxury to show that they bought a luxury brand. And
So these people, people who buy luxury brands, are looking to also project their image over to their peers, their entourage, and saying that I've bought it, then I associate to a certain group. But on the other hand, we see that a lot of new types of brands who are willing to establish themselves on the market and who are willing to jump into that positioning of high end or luxury, have to keep in mind several important things. First of all, not only working on the product, but working on building that product over time and creating that aura that you have been talking about. However, on a commercial aspect, Isabella, and from your experience, now that you're working in a department store, what are the difficulties that these new types of brands are facing whenever they want to come onto the market and whenever they want to compete with these luxury giants? What's happening today?
um, so the I think that well, luxury has really changed the past 20 years, and it's from the past 5 years with technology has changed a lot. And I think with COVID, it's going to change even more.
Even more.
So that the biggest challenge a new brand faces is the marketing and communication, because they don't really have the same budget for that as a huge brand.
Yeah.
So they need to invest in showing themselves. So because when you're starting, you cannot hire a spokesperson, you cannot hire a top model or an Insta girl to show your brand to the world. And it's very complicated for, especially nowadays, for a department store to just pick a brand they don't know with no background whatsoever, just because they know the product's good. So you need to build on notoriety. And then what's genius, I think that Jacquemus, he's done an amazing thing, which is he's mastered Instagram, he's mastered the language of the new generation, and he knows how to cater for millennials and Gen Zers,
Mm-hmm.
which are the emerging markets. Nowadays, it's quite interesting because the luxury market, you've got two kinds of clients for the market. You've got older people who are going to buy mostly handbags and watches,
Like
and
investment pieces,
yeah,
investment. Yeah.
they buy investment pieces, they buy jewelry. So they're gonna buy your timeless pieces.
Yeah.
got the younger market, so a younger generation who are in the 20s, early 30s, who've got a lot of money. They want to spend the money, but they want to see if a brand is ethical. They want to, they actually buy a lot of ready-to-wear, but they want to know more about the brand.
Mm.
They're buying the brand's ethics. So is it made in Europe? Is it a fair wage? Do they use fur? So this kind of things are important.
Mm.
And new brands, they must talk about this in their communication. And I think that with Instagram and internet, they can post directly on internet to engage with these new consumers and create a brand community directly with these consumers. So
Okay.
if there's a new luxury brand, they should start by creating and building an image, a community online, because that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
And they can do that by having a strong message.
Right. So
So
here we're as if these new luxury brands should be gambling not only on creating an offering or a collection, it's really working on the values of the brand, and the core values of these brands should adhere to concepts that are important in today's world and important for these new types of customers. However, if we're going back as well to compare between these newly establishing brands and brands that already have been on the market, when this older customer base diminishes in size and in power, are these types of brands going to be able to shift towards a younger market? I mean, would they be able to change their stories or change their imagery to meet up with what new types of customers or younger customers want?
I think they have been doing that. I think a great example is Gucci. Gucci is a brand that was established in the 19th century, so they've got a very long history. And they've completely changed the way they've been doing business for the past 5 years. When they've changed the creative direction, so they've hired Alessandro Michele. He's been talking to millennials. The Gucci client nowadays is not the same Gucci client from the 90s. They've completely changed. They've changed the brand's codes, the way they still have the core handbags. They still have some of the core pieces from 50 years ago, but they changed the colors. They've been doing every year, for instance, because this yesterday or the day before was the Lunar not New Year, the Chinese New Year, and every year they've released a special capsule collection catered for these young Chinese consumers based on the animal of the year.
Yeah.
They are very Instagram savvy. When you look at the website, it's they talk about the values, about the creative director's values and how he felt and what he wants to convey, what the message he's got for his clients. So it's a different way of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like, I understand you, let's talk, let's sit together.
It's a horizontal approach, I
Yes,
think, with, yeah,
it's very
go ahead.
horizontal. And it works because younger clients, they're not looking for an aspirational brand. They're not gonna buy a brand because the brand has the values they look up to. They want to find a brand that has the same values as they do.
Mm-hmm.
By wearing this brand, they feel that they're expressing themselves.
Yes.
So those brands that are trying to renew themselves, renew the offer, they've been really savvy in doing that
Mm.
and engaging with technology, with new ways of communicating, either via Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. Apparently, brands are now creating exclusive contents and specific contents for TikTok. And what's different is that you can interact with them.
Yeah.
For instance, right now we're doing an Instagram live. They might sponsor lives. They have the creative directors coming and talking to people. So this is very, it feels approachable.
Yeah.
And I think that luxury nowadays, it has to feel approachable to its clients. At the same time, it needs to feel rare. So it's always been the luxury paradox. How do you manage to sell and stay rare?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that nowadays, you're creating more and more capsule collections. So you've got limited editions. So this is the verified aspect. And at the same time, you're talking about co-creation. So you're giving your customer a saying on his product.
Yeah, the voice to be able to personalize sometimes, or yeah, have a say in the production.
So the
But then, Isabella, what might also seem like controversial is that when we talk about luxury, we were talking about like a certain currency. Buying a bag or a piece of jewelry is something that I could resell or maybe exchange or etc. I mean, it's like a sort of money that I could have or invest in at certain point. With these new luxuries or the approach of having new luxury types of brands, is the state of mind still the same vis-a-vis the quality of the product that's being purchased, or are we jeopardizing a little bit on quality or the quality of our craftsmanship in order to cater products that have more ideals rather than looking at the object or I don't know, the material part of the object that we're selling?
um, I think that luxury brands, they're still offering a very high quality product
Okay.
because otherwise it doesn't stand. You can buy, I think in luxury, word of mouth and reputation is still very, very important.
Okay.
So you can refresh yourself, you can change the way you communicate, you can change a bit the way you create for speed up the process and work with more capsule collections, a bit what they do with streetwear. But if your product is not high quality, if it's not, a fine product, they might buy once, might buy twice. They're not gonna come for a third time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is still a higher quality. It's not, even though they're producing, there's a lot of mass production and a, a notion, a feeling of horizontality. The product is still high end. It's
Yeah.
still a very qualitative product. It's still a very expensive product. And people are still expecting for it to have the quality that comes with the price, the service that comes with the price.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about that aspect now, because it's really important to know how people consume luxury and the importance of space in order to create that added value to buying a luxurious product. I know we said that the particular situation that the world has gone through last year has shaken the retail world. However, we know that people still want to buy and they still want to physically attend to the store in order to buy, specifically when it comes to luxury brands or luxury buys. Now that you work in these types of environments in a department store, we're still valuing the space of luxury brands and new luxury brands. So first of all, in terms of space, what's the difference between putting in a luxurious brand in a department store in terms of space, in terms of location, and why these choices are made?
So I think that a luxury brand, as I said, it comes with a kind of service. So the service comes from when you enter the store. You need to have room to roam about you. You have to, you have to feel good when you go shopping into a luxury brand. So of course, in a department store, they're gonna have the premium location inside the store.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you come to buy, if you're willing to pay, as I said, 5,000-10,000 euros, even more, for products, you're expecting to be treated a certain way as well.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like roaming inside the store, going up and down the escalator to find this product you've been looking for. So it's true that on the department store, usually they have a prime location. They usually at the ground floor. That it's some of department store retailing that we can find across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's on the ground, it's in the premium part of the store, it's on the ground floor. They managed to keep their own space, so the brand code can be expressed. So when you get into a Chanel store, you know by the way it's decorated, the way things are, the way the chairs are, you know they were in the Chanel store. When you are at the Dior store, you know that there's the references to the 18th century because they've been doing that ever since the brand was built by Christian Dior because he loved the 18th century. You have the smell which is based on the Miss Dior perfume. You have all these little expressions that make you know that you are in a privileged space.
Mm-hmm.
That you're in a space of where you've got a curated good for you. Because the windows, they're done in a specific way, the products are treated in a specific way, you're welcomed in a specific way. When you come to a luxury store, you're not going to be queuing in the cold and then getting in and getting pushed around. You're going to come in, you've got someone who's going to cater for your experience. They're going to offer you, if you want to drink water, juice, or champagne, or whatever. They want you to feel that you're having a remarkable experience with your time when you come to a luxury store.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brings people to a luxury store as well. Otherwise, they could just buy online.
Yeah.
And there's those little things that make you feel like you're a queen, even for just the half an hour you're in the store.
Yeah.
That's very, very important in luxury.
Yes.
The client must feel their best when they're visiting, and that's part of the luxury experience.
So we're talking about a pre-consumption experience, and we're talking about the during and the after. I mean, before going in, we should be excited to go and meet up with the brand. As you said, as soon as we arrive in front of the brand, we must have all of these signals referring to the brand's identity, story, and history come to us through all of the visuals, layouts, and displays. And through the experience, we're going through all of the details of knowing about the product, maybe choosing the one that suits us best, and so on. And as we said, that this adds value to the purchase when it comes to luxury and makes it different from the experience that we have when buying other types of brands. And now, Isabella, saying that space and the importance that we have in terms of going through this world, the luxury brands world, is an important asset as well that makes the customer feel more comfortable in buying. However, this costs a lot of money. I mean, we're not talking even about the rent of these types of spaces and the decor and everything else that comes to it. When new brands are establishing themselves and they want to go into that department store and sell their products, are they able to recreate their physical environments as well as other luxury brands are able to?
I think it takes a bit of time for these brands because renting a premium space costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you need to have enough traffic. You need to make that worth it. So you need to sell all of you need to have a selling rhythm to make it worth. But new brands, they can do that. For instance, I'm gonna use Jacquemus again as an example because it's become a textbook case.
Yeah.
he had created his reputation online. He's got a cult following. He's got an e-shop, even though it's not a luxury brand. It is a high end brand. It's more than premium. It's really high end. So when he managed to get his online following. He had an e-shop. Then they started selling at wholesale points. So basically, you're still selling for department stores, so you can increase your notoriety. And then, of course, when you're in a multi-brand space, either in an independent store or in a department store, you cannot really control how you're going to be presented. You've got lines, you've got merchandisers that can come to the space. You're always talking to the buyer, to the floor manager, to the designers, to the architects. You're always talking to these people from the store. So your vision is expressed the best way, the most faithful way.
Yeah.
They
to
can
make it closer to what you want it to look like.
Exactly. So I mean, new brands, even though if they're working with the wholesale model, they still have a say in on how the merchandising is going to be done.
Yeah.
You can still control as well the pieces you want to have on display, because usually production on a brand, they have different stories. So you've got this first drop, which is the story. So you've got different kinds of fabrics, different kinds of pieces you want to be displayed at this time of the year. Then comes the second drop with a different story, the third drop with a different story. So that way you can control what's being shown and when it's being shown. And you can give guidelines. Of course, we don't really know if they're going to be followed, but usually stores, they try to follow your guideline the best they can.
Yeah.
And also you can do that by controlling the environment where you're being sold. Because usually, when you're on a B2B, when you're a sales manager on a B2B unit for a brand, before you sell your collection to a retailer, you're going to check which brands he carries. If you're
competing with you.
Exactly, who's competing, and also if it's a brand that specializes in a bit of contemporary clothing and if you're luxury clothing, you don't know what your products are going to be doing there, because it's not really the client you want to cater to. It's not the kind of brand you want to be associated with. So you can control. You can say, I want to be in Milan, I want to be at 10 Corso Como, and not at this random brand at this random place. Or you can say, oh, in Paris, I want to be on a department store at this floor. Because on department stores, you've got different levels of clothes that are sold in different floors.
Yeah.
So you're saying, oh, I'm a luxury brand. I'm on the likes of Chloe. I'm the likes of Celine. I'm on the likes of Burberry, and I want to be right next to these brands.
So there's this. At first, there's this fight for finding the right space and being allocated or given permission to exist in that kind of space. I mean, before a brand establishes itself, I think what you're talking about is the battle of creating is notoriety, as you said, and the time to appear and reappear in spaces that are known, in order for people or customer to say, okay, I mean, we've been seeing it, this brand is important, and we're going to buy from it, and then maybe years later it can move on its own. But this struggle, I mean, it's the story of many brands, and many of them I think lose their hope along the way, or they cannot sustain, right?
It's very complicated, because especially nowadays, what happens is that a lot of brands, they're actually backed by huge conglomerates. Collect cash. So it means that your company can afford to lose money before starting to make this money to break even. So it's very hard when you're independent and you're by yourself, because you're competing with all those brands that've got huge cash flows. and they're really well backed by either small or big luxury groups, because of course you've got Louis Vuitton group, there's the Kering group, there's Richemont, which are really big groups. But for instance, in Italy, there's a group that's called OLG, so Onward Luxury Group, that backs quite a few brands. So it helps them with the cash flow, with the liquidity and all the things. So you can invest some money for them to have the profits come in, because you've exposed yourself, you've managed to be in this magazine, that magazine, on, well, nowadays I'm a bit old, so I'll talk about magazines, but nowadays mostly online. So that the most important things for new brands, it's first to get a visibility, create your own name, create the buzz, not the visibility, buzz. And so you can justify yourself vis-a-vis a department store or retailer, saying, well, I'm small, but I've got a cult following, I've got people willing to come here to buy my products.
Yeah, yes.
I've got a vision. My product is different from this brand because I've got this to propose. I've created in this way. I don't know. I propose this personalized thing where your client's gonna come. They're gonna have a thing crafted and created the way he wants, and he's going to be super happy and he's going to come back.
Yeah.
So I think you need to create a bit of brand community. And I think that, but there's an interesting thing that more and more department stores and concept stores, they're willing to try new brands in pop-up concepts. So we're going to try this new brand for 2 months because we've got this exhibition going on, because it's Mother's Day, so we want to try these new brands, because it's Valentine's Day, so we're going to try these new brands. Because I mean, there's a problem, not a problem, but retail nowadays, especially with COVID, it became very complicated.
Yeah.
Before there was internet, so nowadays retailer, brick and mortar stores, they need to give people a reason to keep coming.
Yes.
Instead of buying online.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
they're always looking for novelty.
to break the boredom, surely, and to give, like you said, a reason to, and to create a sort of experience in the retail space, right? And Isabella, there's something really important. I always think when I'm doing like these types of chats, even though retailers give brands exposure, but today retailers also benefit from all of the following of these types of brands, because new brands do have an important following, and might as well, by doing a pop-up store or a temporary addition of this new brand in this concept store or department store, will get also all of the following of these smaller brands and create that buzz that you're talking about. So we're saying today that there are opportunities for smaller luxury brands to exist and to prove themselves. Pop-up stores are a good way, and I'm always happy to talk about them. And you said as well that the brand could move a little bit into wholesale operations. Could you explain a little bit about that process? Because we have lost a little bit this flair of wholesale, and especially that today we cannot do the traditional fashion weeks as we used to. We cannot maybe hire whole apartments or spaces to exhibit our collections as we used to. So where's the place of wholesale in that luxury brand formula?
I think that wholesale is not dead because it's true that more and more brands, they're trying to get total control of distribution. So they're stopping wholesale. They're not really working with multi-brands.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Well, because internet's there. So you buy everything. You can go to Farfetch and buy the product you want.
Yeah.
Books or any other kind of this websites. But this will never replace the experience of coming to a store and, I don't know, being amazed by the novelty, getting to know new things. Those kind of things you cannot browse online. It's very hard for you to online to discover a new thing. Usually You go because you already have something in your mind, and then you might find something, oh, it looks good, but for instance, I'm someone who needs to see the thing personally
Yeah,
before.
and use your senses. I mean, we cannot handicap the feeling or emotions related to getting in touch with the product, right?
It's so different when
Yeah.
you see it through a screen, and when you see it and you try it, and then you get styling tips from the vendor, and you can have a chat with the vendor, and you've got a human experience that I think we're all lacking,
Mm, mm,
especially
mm.
it. So I think that when we're out of this pandemic, so maybe in a year or two, we might see a revival of brick and mortar, maybe with omni-channel, using technology and online techniques to blend online and brick and mortar. But one of the things I think that's going to happen after the pandemic's gone is that we're all craving for human contact.
Yeah.
So people are going to be more willing to go back to the stores.
Yeah.
So
So this is also a message for brands to rethink their physical presence and to give, as we said, a better reason for people to come into the store and not let the online channels jeopardize our chances of exposing or selling our product. And this is controversial because at some point we thought that online brands could sell luxury products and deliver to customers or personalize online. Can we talk a little bit about that aspect? I mean, if I want to buy my Rolex, I could go online and choose different aspects that would relate to my style, and I have my personalized watch. But is this working really, Isabella?
I think that people still want to go to the store to have the experience. So I think that I'm not sure if you can buy Rolex online. You might, they might, I think they're trying to do omni-channel things. So you go online, you pick this thing, you personalize and make it look like you. And then you go to the store because you're going to try it, you're going to have it fitted, you're going to see if the leather feels good or if the metal feels good. So I think that luxury, to get the full experience, if luxury brands want to go online, they should um complement.
Maintain or complete? Yeah,
Exactly, they need to complete it with the in-store experience, because then it's even more personalized, because
yeah.
you can see how it fitted, you can see how it looks on you, you can change if you don't like it. So there is this interaction that luxury requires that the internet cannot provide.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
uh,
And every time we're talking, we're like highlighting important keywords related to that luxury world that involves at all times the importance of human experience, human interaction, touch, and like the revival of customer sensations. And to give justice again to the new luxuries or new types of brands. Now, in your experience, because you've been working in a renowned department store, what can we give to those like new luxury brands as like tips or guidelines to be able to get themselves on track to building their luxury brand? And we're saying building because we've concentrated so much together on this time factor, the importance of the time factor to build a luxury brand.
um, I would say, so customer service, it's very, very important. So I think so let's go the steps. First of all, have a very clear message. Why is your brand different? What does your brand propose? What does your brand have that will resonate with your customers? Then you should have the best customer service for your client when they come. So when they come to your store, or I don't know, if you're trying to do a online, start online, how does your website communicate to the customer? How, or in store, brick and mortar, what can you do to make your customer feel welcomed? So how's your customer service? There's a way of welcoming them. So you should, engage in conversation, you need some sort of coziness in the relationship with the customer. Then after sales is very important, and I think that it's a huge differentiation, and it's a huge thing that the luxury brands have, is that after you bought a luxury product, it might be in a year, in 2 years, in 10 years, if you ever have a problem with that, it broke, or you somehow destroyed your bag because you let you let beer get into your bag, or if you fell on it and you destroyed the leather or something like that, you're going to come back to the brand, going to show the product, and they're going to try to find a solution.
Yeah.
I think that putting your customer on the heart of your business and thinking on how can I make my customers experience the best I can, I think that's the most important thing for a luxury brand.
And Isabella, if I may, do you think that with luxury brands, the unique selling proposition is service oriented, or is it product oriented? Because at the end of the day, are we buying a product, or are we buying a holistic idea that this product holds?
The product is part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's very holistic, because you need everything. So when you're buying, and I think it's very interesting, because the way luxury is sold, it makes you, as I said, it's selling a dream, it's selling this aura, and you want to be part of, the client wants to be part of it. Whether it's by buying a 30-euro lipstick or buying a 10,000 euro bag.
Yeah.
The important is that the client feels that they're consuming the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you're selling. It matters the way you sell it, and the experience, and how things happen, and how the consumer perceives it. So I think I would say it's the whole. The product's a huge part of it, because, as I said, if the product's not up to what you're trying to sell, your client's not going to come back.
Yeah.
But if you're just selling the product and you're saying, oh, I'm selling this exquisite leather, this exquisite fabric, and that's just the product, they're not coming back either, because they didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
we cannot do concessions whenever it comes to luxury. I mean, it has to be always a bundle of things put together in order for the customer to keep living that ideal, to keep sharing those values with the brand before, during, and after. Isabella, what can we add, I mean, to this topic? What are the important things that we didn't discuss and we should highlight in terms of high end, low end, and the differences between these types of brands?
I'm going to have a look at my notes.
What did we miss?
So I think that I would go a bit deeper on the experience, on the side of the client, so
yeah,
the customer, because I think that's what's very interesting in luxury is the way the customer perceives it. It's very different from any other brand. Because, for instance, I don't know, I need a wallet. A wallet is a wallet. It holds your cash, it holds your cards, it holds your documents. It's a wallet. So why, when I want a wallet, and why I'm going to go to Hermes to buy it and not to Zara? Because functionally, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go for the function, if it's a Zara wallet, if it's, I don't know, a plastic wallet or the best leather wallet, it's still the same thing. So I think that we need, and when we are working with the luxury brand, we need to put ourselves in the place of the client, the consumer, and say, what do I want to express about myself when I'm buying this product? What do I want to feel? Why, what kind of sensations I want to make my customer feel when he knows that he owns my product.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing for new luxury brands, because old luxury brands, they're already established,
Mm-hmm.
and they've already managed to create this aura, and that's why the client's going to save up, even if the person doesn't have a huge salary, they're going to save up for 2 or 3 years and then gift themselves with the bag.
Yeah.
So what can you do? What kind of message you can diffuse? What's your message? What's your product? What can you do? What would you do if you were a customer? What would you be looking for? What kind of values? What's the image of yourself you want to share with the world? And then to try to create your brand message, create a brand identity based on that.
Yes.
Because that's what's going to make your clients, your consumer, your potential consumer, save money to buy your product, to go look for your store, to look up your website, look up what you've been doing, follow you, be part of your community.
Right.
So the product must be really good, but most importantly, what's the message? How you're making your customer feel when you're buying your product. And I think that's what brands should bear in mind.
Okay, so this is a very important message for newly establishing luxury brands to work well on their offering, on the quality. Of course, they cannot do concessions on that. Be clear on their strategy, identity, and the story they want to share. But mostly and most importantly, go and look for common points between them and the clients, and how to really knit that relationship between those two in order to create a beautiful love story and to grow with it. Then and as we talk about this or highlight it, we feel that it's a simple thing to do. However, it's, I believe, the most complicated issue related in today's luxury brand development, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's yes, I think that everything that's related to consumer management and building a community, as it's such an important thing for the survival of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be really thought through, and you have to know your consumers. So do tests, go online, go talk to a marketing specialist on how you can discover who could be your consumer and how you're going to talk to them.
Talk to them. Yeah, right. Like crafting the ideal message that customers would listen to. But I'm intrigued also, and I'm thinking about all of these studies saying that customers are becoming more difficult and less loyal. I mean, they could wake up today loving you and sleep tomorrow and hating you. I mean, it's getting more difficult to create that sense of stability with our relationship with customers. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, I think that the point is that there are so many brands on the market that it's very, as I said, a wallet's a wallet, a t-shirt's a t-shirt. So the importance of a clear message is to show that you're different from the other brand, because in the end of the day, there are so many brands proposing products that are quite similar,
Yeah, and competitive. Yeah, yeah,
very competitive. And so what changes is the brand name and how you manage to build your community. So
yeah.
manage to bridge a sort of mutual feeling between you and your customer, and that's a lot of work.
Sure.
And I think that's the way to have a loyal customer. It's through feeling, emotion, shared values, and make them feel that they matter and that you care about their opinion and they're caring for them. Because yes, the market, there are loads of brands, loads of people have genius ideas and they manage to build the brands. But to make your brand last, you need to create a footprint into the market. And the person who holds the key is the customer.
Yes. So a watch out and a lookout for all of these brands. Tell them that we should be very transparent with our customers, very authentic and real, because today nothing could be hidden anymore. And retail practices are becoming more difficult. I mean, to sustain a brand or to compete with other established brands. So to stay and to survive on the market, we should connect with customers. I think this is the message, to stay true to them and to your ideals, and to keep sharing and communicating with them, for them to feel that you're linked together, and that they are not just numbers or like passengers buying from you. They are your friends, they are your soulmates. I mean, if this love story is created, it will help the brand grow better. Isabella, I mean, this is a topic that I think does not end. There's always something to add and something to talk about. However, I think we're restrained to 59 minutes on on our Insta Live. To conclude this beautiful talk, is there anything else that we should highlight and that we didn't talk about?
I think that we went through the basics as we only have 1 hour. I mean, I could spend hours talking about this because I love the subject. But no, I think we've done, on my end, everything I wrote down that I thought was important sharing.
We've shared.
We shared. I don't know if you've got anything else to add.
I mean, with today's session, as I introduced and as you concluded, we've covered like the basics, the main lines, looking at luxury and new luxury brands. We'd be happy, of course, to go through another live and talk into more specifics, or go into cases of brands that would help the viewers really understand what you're talking about, especially those who know luxury like in general terms. And it's really important to highlight keywords and key concepts that make customers understand better what luxury is and what new luxury is. So we will do that hopefully very soon together. And thank you so much, Isabella. It was a pleasure talking to you. And good luck with the future research. And we're looking forward to see the results of your studies. And hopefully we'll be doing another live soon to talk about more specifics on luxury and high-end and low-end brands.
Thank you, Halia. It was such a pleasure being with you and everyone who watched us. And well, looking forward to the next live.
Hopefully. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for, I see like many comments and hearts. Thank you for everyone who managed to meet us on Saturday. And I think, Isabella, you can see the comments below. Yes, loving your ideas and insights. Thank you for sharing, and thank you all for watching. And if you have any, of course, we always say that these videos are going to be uploaded on IGTV and later on YouTube. So those who joined us a little bit later in the conversation could go back and watch it. And if anyone has questions, Isabella is available on her DM, and as well as I. And thank you everyone, and have a nice Saturday evening. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye everyone.